Everyone, in this video we're going to learn how to simplify radical expressions. Alright, so we have the following key formulas. Suppose a and b are non-negative numbers. Formula number 1, root 8 times root 8 equals root 8 squared, and this can be a, right? Because a is non-negative. Now, if we don't know the domain of a, which means a could be positive or negative number, then we need to put absolute value side right here, right? Example, square root of 5 square equals 5, since 5 greater than 0. Now, if we have square root of s squared, it should be absolute value of s. So we have two different answers, either s if s greater than or equal to 0, which is this case right here. Negative s if s less than 0. So keep that in mind. Formula number 2, root 8 times b equals root 8 times root b if a and b are non-negative numbers. Suppose we have square root of 75, we need to simplify this one. It's going to be square root of 25 times 3 and square root of 25 times square root of 3. 25 is a perfect square, so it could be 5 root 3. Now, formula number 3, s times root a times y times root b. We can multiply s and y. This could be right here. And we combine a and b. Now, suppose we have 2 root 12 times 4 root 3. 2 times 4 equals 8. Root 12 times root 3, it could be root 36. Root 36 equals 6. 6 times 8 equals 48, right? Similarly, I have root a divided by b. It's going to be root a over root b, right? So suppose we have root 49 over 75. It's going to be root 49 over root 75. It's going to be root 49 over root 25 times root 3, right? Root 49 equals 7. Root 25 equals 5, and we have root 3 right here. Now we're going to multiply this one by multiply the top and bottom by root 3. So that's why we have 7 root 3 over 5 times 3 equals 15, right? Now formula number 5, s times root a times b over y root b, right? So it could be s over y. Root b and root b cancel out. We have root a left, right? Suppose we have 3 root 72 over 7 root 18. It's going to be 3 over 7. We write this one, right? Root 72 can be written as root 4 times root 18, right? And this is root 18. Root 18 and root 18 cancel out. So we have 3 root 4 over 7, right? Root 4 equals 2. So 3 times 2 equals 6. 6 over 7, right? Now formula number 6, and root of a to the m can be written as this form, right? And it's going to be a to the m over n, right? The right go to the top, the left go to the bottom. So keep that in mind. Suppose we have 7 root of s to the 6, so it's going to be s raised to the 6 over 7, right? Now formula number 7, similar to formula number 6, right? In this situation, n and m should be the same, right? So this is n, this is n, right? So we apply the formula number 6 right here. So n divided by n is going to be 1. That's why we have a, right? So we have 26 root of s raised to the 26 is going to be s, right? Now the last formula, n root of a times n root of b can be written as n root of a times b, right? So we look at this one right here. 3 times 4 root of 48. We need to simplify this one. So we can split 48 into 16 times 3, right? And then we take 3 times 4 root of 16 times 4 root of 3, right? And 4 root of 16 is going to be 2. And we have 3 times 2 equals 6 times 4 root of 3, right? In this lesson, we're going to work on the 3 number system, right? So this is the even root of negative 16. This is no solution because we can take the even root of a negative number, right? Now, number 2, 4 root of 16 is going to be 4 root of 2 power 4, right? And it's going to be 2 power 4 over 4, right? is going to be 2 power 1 is going to be 2, right? Now number 3, we can take the odd root of a negative number is going to be negative 1, right? Now question 4, we can separate this guy, right? So it could be 4 root of 648 times 4 root of s squared, right? Now 648 can be written as 4 root of 81 times 8 times 4 root of s squared, right? And it's going to be 4 root of 81 times 4 root of 8 times 4 root of s squared, right? And 81 can be written as 3 to the 4, right? Now this guy and this guy, you cannot take the 4 roots, right? So we're going to combine these two guys. It could be 4 root of 8 s squared, right? Now 4 root of 3 to the 4 is going to be 3 times 4 root of 8 s squared, right? Now number 5 is going to be cube root of negative 135 times cube root of s to the 5th times cube root of y cubed, right? Now 135 can be written as 27 times 5, right? So it could be cube root of negative 27 times cube root of 5, right? Times cube root of s cube times cube root of s squared, right? I'm going to split s to the 5th into s cubed and s squared times cube root of y cubed, right? Now cube root of negative 27 is going to be negative 3, right? Now cube root of s cubed is going to be s, right? Now cube root of y cubed is going to be y, right? And you have cube root of, combine this guy, 5 s squared, right? This one is the final answer. Now question number 6. You have negative 8 times 4 root of 80 times 4 root of 8 to the 4 times y to the 7 can be written as y to the 4 times y cubed, right? So I'm going to have 4 root of this guy and 4 root of this guy, right? Times 4 root of k to the 16, right? Now 80 can be written as 16 times 5, right? So this guy turns out to be negative 8 times 4 root of 16 times 4 root of 5, right? Times 4 root of 8 to the 4 is going to be a, right? 4 root of y to the 4 is going to be y. 4 root of this guy, 4 root of k to the 16 is going to be k to the 4, right? And we just rewrite this guy right here, 4 root of y cubed, right? Now 4 root of 16 equals 2, right? So 2 times negative 8, it could be negative 16 times this guy right here, a y k to the 4 times 4 root of, we're going to combine this guy and this guy, it's going to be 5y cubed, right? Now question 7. We do exactly the same thing as question 6, right? So it's going to be negative 8 times square root of 108 can be written as, and it's going to be square root of a to the 4 square root of b squared and square root of c to the 4, right? Now square root of 36 equals 6 times negative 8 is going to be negative 48, right? Square root of a to the 4 is going to be a squared. Square root of b squared is going to be b. Square root of c to the 4 is going to be c squared. And you have square root of 3 left right here. This one is the final answer. Now question 8 is going to be negative 4 times square root of 175 can be written as times square root of c to the 4. Alright, square root of 25 equals 5. 5 times negative 4 is going to be negative 20, right? Square root of c to the 4 is going to be c squared, right? And you have square root of 7 left right here. Now question 9. You have negative 5 times 245 can be written as 49 times 5, right? Times square root of m square, right? Times square root of n square times square root of n, right? Because n cube right here, I can split this guy into n squared times n, right? Square root of 49 equals 7, right? 7 times negative 5 is going to be negative 35, right? Square root of m squared equals m. Square root of n squared equals n, right? Now we're going to combine 5 right here, square root of 5 times n right here, right? This one is the final answer. Now let's move on to the second one. We're going to add and subtract radical expressions. Now if we have AX plus BX plus CS, we can factor S out. So we're going to add A, B, C, right? And example 2S minus 4S plus 3S equal to be 2 minus 4 plus 3 times S equal to be S, right? Now similarly, if we have A root S plus B root S plus C root S, we do exactly the same thing, right? So this guy right here, we're going to factor root S out. So we have 2 minus 1 plus 3, right? It's going to be 4 root S, right? Now if we have n root S, right? So we just factor n root S out. We have A plus B plus C, right? So look at this one. Factor n root S out, we have 1 minus 1 plus 12. It's going to be right here. The answer is 12 times n root S, right? Now, let's take a look at example number 2. Simplify the following. Alright, so we have 5 root 49 can be written as 5 times 9, right? Plus 6 times 18 can be written as 9 times 2 minus 2. 98 can be written as 49 times 2 plus 20 can be written as 4 times 5, right? Now square root of 9 equals 3. 3 times 5 right here equals 15. You have root 5 left, right? Plus 9 print outside is going to be 3. 3 times 6 is going to be 18 root 2, right? Now 49 print outside is going to be 7 times 2 is going to be negative 14 root 2. And 4 print outside is going to be 2, so 2 root 5, right? Simplify. This guy and this guy are like terms, right? So 15 plus 2 it could be 17 and rewrite root 5, right? This guy and this guy are like terms, right? So 18 minus 14 is going to be plus 4, rewrite root 2. So keep that in mind. Now question B. We have 4 cube root of 54 can be written as 27 times 2, right? Minus 9 cube root of 8 times 2 plus 5 cube root of 9, right? This guy can be written as 4 cube root of 27 times cube root of 2 minus 9 cube root of 8 times cube root of 2 plus 5 cube root of 9, right? Now cube root of 27 equals 3. 3 times 4 equals 12 cube root of 2 minus cube root of 8 equals 2. 2 times 9 equals 18, right? Cube root of 2 plus 5 cube root of 9, right? Now this guy and this guy are like terms, right? We can combine. So 12 subtract 18 is going to be negative 6. So we just rewrite cube root of 2, right? And copy this one down. This one is the final answer. Question C. We have negative 3 fifth root of 6 minus fifth root of 2 to the 5th times 2, right? Plus 2 fifth root of 32 times 6, right? Minus 2 fifth root of 2 to the 5th times 2, right? Now we're going to simplify this one. Negative 3 fifth root of 6, 2 to the 5th, and you have the fifth root right here. It's going to be cancelled out, right? So you just print this guy outside, it could be 2, right? So we have minus 2 fifth root of 2 left right here, right? Similarly, 32 is going to be 2 to the 5th, right? Print it outside, it's going to be 2. 2 times 2 is going to be 4 fifth root of 6, right? And this guy right here is going to be 2, right? 2 times 2 is going to be 4, right? So negative 4 fifth root of 2, right? Now this guy and this guy are like terms, right? So it's going to be fifth root of 6. This guy and this guy is going to be negative 6 fifth root of 2, right? This one is the final answer. Now let's move on to number 3. Multiply and divide radical expression. We're going to use the formula number 3 and number 5 in the table above. It's going to be this guy and this guy, right? Observe that you cannot take square root of 14. You cannot take square root of 6, right? If you combine this guy and then you can take square root, right? So we have negative 5 times 4 is going to be negative 20, right? Root 14 times 6 is going to be 84, right? This guy turns out to be negative 20. Root 84 can be written as 4 times 21, right? And then you can bring 4 outside, it could be 2. So it could be 2 times negative 20 is going to be negative 40 root 21. This one is the final answer. Question B. We have 2 times 6, it could be 12. Cube root of 18 times 15 is going to be 270, right? 270 can be written as 27 times 10, right? So we have 12 cube root of 27 times cube root of 10, right? Now cube root of 27 equals 3. 3 times 12 is going to be 36 cube root of 10. This one is the final answer. Now question C. We just distribute this guy, right? So we have 7 times 3 is going to be 21. Root 6 times root 10 is going to be root 60, right? 7 times negative 5 is going to be negative 35. Root 6 times root 15 can be root 90, right? Now, root 60 can be written as root 4 times 15, right? Minus 35. Root 90 can be written as 9 times 10, right? Now, 4 you can bring outside, it can be 2, right? So we'll have 42 root 15 minus 9, bring it outside, it could be 3, right? So 3 times 35 is going to be 105 root 10. This one is the final answer. You cannot combine because this is root 15, this is root 10, right? Now question D, we just distribute, right? So root 5 times 4 root 10 is going to be 4 root 50, right? Root 5 times 6 root 6 is going to be plus 6 root 5 times root 6 is going to be root 30. Negative 2 root 3 times 4 root 10. Negative 2 times 4 is going to be negative 8. Root 3 times root 10 is going to be root 30, right? And the last one, negative 2 times 6 is going to be negative 12. Root 3 times root 6 is going to be root 18, right? Now, root 50 can be written as 25 times 2. So it can be 4 root 25 times 2, right? Now we cannot simplify root 30, right? So we combine these two guys right here because they are like terms, right? It can be negative 2 root 30, right? Minus 12. Root 18 can be written as 9 times 2, right? Now 25 bring outside is going to be 5 times 4, it can be 20 root 2. Minus 2 root 30. Minus 9 print outside, it could be 3 times 12, it could be 36 root 2. Combine these two guys, it could be negative 16 root 2 minus 2 root 30. Right? Now question E. 2 times 7, it could be 14. Root 5 times root 2, it could be root 10. Right? 2 times negative 8, it could be negative 16. Root 5 times root 7, it could be root 35. Negative 3 times 7, it could be negative 21. Root 6 times root 2, it could be root 12. And the last one, negative 3 times negative 8, it could be plus 24, right? Root 6 times root 7, it could be root 42, right? Now this guy, and this guy cannot be simplified, so we just copy them down, right? 12 can be written as root 4 times 3. Bring 4 outside, it could be 2. 2 times 21 is going to be 42, so it could be negative 42 root 3, right? Now question F, we're going to use complete square formula, right? So we have A plus B all together square equals A square plus 2AB plus B square, right? So we have 3 root 2 all together square plus 2 times 3 root 2 times 2 root 3 plus 2 root 3 all together square, right? Now 3 square equals 9. Root 2 square equals 2. 2 times 9 equals 18, right? Plus 2 times 3 times 2, it will be 12, right? Root 2 times root 3, it will be root 6. And 2 square equals 4. Root 3 square equals 3. 3 times 4 equals 12, right? Now 18 plus 12 equals 30 plus 12 root 6. Now question G. Now 15 and 20, we can divide the top and bottom by 5, right? So this guy 3, this guy 4, right? So we have 3 over 4. Now this guy have the same cube root, right? So we just rewrite the same cube root and 108 divided by 2, right? We simplify this one. 3 over 4. 108 divided by 2, it will be 54, right? Now 54 can be written as 27 times 2, right? So this guy turns out to be 3 over 4 cube root of 27 times cube root of 2, right? Cube root of 27 is 3, right? 3 times 3 equals 9, right? So 9 over 4 cube root of 2, right? Now this guy can be written as the same square root, right? So 50 as cube y to the 7 over 2 as y squared, right? Now 50 divided by 2, it could be 25, so we have square root of 25. S cubed divided by s, it could be s squared, right? Y to the 7 divided by y squared, it could be y to the 5th, right? Remember we have a to the m over a to the n, it could be a to the m minus n, so keep that in mind, right? Now this guy can be written as square root of 25 times square root of s squared times square root of y to the 4 times y, right? And bring 25 outside, it could be 5. Bring this guy outside, it could be s. Bring y to the 4 outside, it could be y squared, right? And we have square root of y left. This one is the final answer. Now the last one we have 1 over 5 times square root of 12 over 98, right? Now we're going to divide the top bottom by 2. So we have 1 over 5 times square root of 6 over 49, right? So it's going to be 1 over 5 square root of 6 over square root of 49, right? So it's going to be square root of 6 over 5 times square root of 49 equals 7, right? It could be square root of 6 over 35. Now let's move on to the next one. Rationalize the denominators containing one term, right? So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the denominator, right? So remember, we have the formula square root a times square root a is going to be square root a squared, and it's going to be a for a greater than or equal to 0. Now we assume that all variables in this lesson are non-negative, right? Now question 8. We're going to multiply the top and bottom by the bottom. So it's going to be root 7 over root 7, right? Now root 6 times root 7 is going to be root 42, right? Root 7 times root 7 is going to be 7. This one is the final answer. Now next one, we're going to multiply the top and bottom by root 5s, right? Alright, so we have 2 root 6 times root 5 is going to be 30, and we have s, right, over root 5s times root 5s is going to be 5s, right? We're going to multiply the top and bottom by root 3, right? So root 3 times root 2 is going to be root 6. Root 3 times root 6 is going to be root 18, right? Over root 3 times root 3 is going to be 3, right? Now if we want to simplify this one further, it's going to be root 6 plus root 9 times 2 over 3, right? Root 9 equals 3, so it will be root 6 plus 3 root 2 over 3. Now we're going to rationalize the denominators containing 2 terms. Alright, so we need to use the difference of 2 squared. It could be a squared minus b squared equals a minus b times a plus b, right? So we look at the denominator right here, we have 2 terms, right? So we multiply the top bottom by this conjugate. Remember, a minus b is the conjugate of a plus b, or a plus b is the conjugate of a minus b. So the conjugate of root 7 plus 2 is root 7 minus 2. So keep this one in mind, right? So multiply the top bottom by this conjugate is going to be root 7 minus 2, right? Now we're going to distribute the numerator. Root 6 times root 7 is going to be root 42, right? Root 6 times negative 2 is going to be negative 2 root 6. The bottom becomes a squared minus b squared, where a equals root 7, b equals 2. So if you square this one, it's going to be a squared equals 7, b squared equals 4, right? So it could be 7 minus 4, right? So this guy turns out to be root 42 minus 2 root 6 over 3, right? Question B. We're going to multiply the top and bottom by root 5 plus 2 root 3, right? So we can distribute the top. 2 root 6 times root 5 is going to be root 30, right? 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Root 6 times root 3 is going to be root 18, right? The bottom becomes a squared minus b squared, right? A equals root 5. If you square this one, it's going to be 5, right? B equals 2 root 3. Then b squared equals 2 squared equals 4. Root 3 squared equals 3, and it's going to be 12, right? So minus 12. Now simplify this one. 2 root 30, right? Now root 18 can be written as root 9 times 2. 9 print outside is going to be 3. 3 times 4 is going to be 12. So plus 12 root 2, right? Over 5 minus 12 is going to be negative 7, right? We can leave the answer like this, or we can print the negative side in the front, right? So it can be negative 2 root 30 plus 12 root 2 over 7. Now remember, you only print the negative side to the front. If you print the negative side to the top, you must put the parentheses. So keep that in mind. Now this guy right here, the conjugate of this guy is 5 plus root 3m cubed, right? So we're going to multiply the top bottom by conjugate. Alright, we distribute the numerator, so it turns out to be 2 times 5 is going to be 10 root 6m, right? 2 root 6m times root 3m cubed is going to be root 18m to the 4, right? Over 5 square is going to be 25 minus this guy square equals 3m cubed, right? Now we can simplify the numerator. It's going to be 10 root 6m. Now this guy right here can be written as root 9 times 2 times m to the 4, right? Bring 9 outside, it could be 3. 3 times 2, it could be 6, right? So plus 6. Root m to the 4 is going to be m squared, right? And we have root 2 left right here, right? Over 25 minus 3m cubed. This one is the final answer. We're going to talk about the common mistake. So, a lot of students make mistake. Alright, square root of a square plus or minus b square. We're going to rewrite this one as a square plus minus b square power 1 over 2. Because this is power 1, this is square root. So it can be 1 over 2 like that, right? Remember we have m root of a to the n is going to be a to the n over n, right? So keep that in mind. Now the common mistake here, they're going to separate the square root. It's going to be like this, and square root of a square equal a, and square root of b square equal b. This guy completely wrong, so keep that in mind. You're not going to apply this formula. Similarly, we have cube root, right? We cannot do like this, right? Now in general case, we have a plus or minus b raised to the m over n. We need to rewrite like this. We cannot separate like this, right? So for this one right here, we cannot separate like this, right? The common mistake like this. Square root of 5 square plus square root of 12 square, right? It's going to be 5 plus 12 equals 17. This one completely wrong, right? It's going to be like this. Square root of 5 square equals 25. 12 square equals 144, right? And if we add these two guys up, it's going to be 169. Square root of 169 is 13. This one is the good answer, right? Now, question B. You cannot combine these two guys, right? You cannot rewrite like this, right? That's completely wrong. So, you take square root of 5 square equals 5 plus square root of 12 square equals 12, and it's going to be 17. That's it, right? Now this one, same thing. You cannot separate this guy, right? So, you need to write cube root of 4 cube is 64. 3 cube is 27. So it can be cube root of 37. This one is the final answer. Now question D. The answer for this one is 4, right? Because we have this guy the same. The answer for this one is 3, right? Minus 3 equals 1. Now this one right here, rewrite this one in the radical, right? So rewrite 5 plus m right here. Now 7 on the top go to the right like this, and bottom go to the left. You don't need to write 2 here, right? So this one is the final answer. Now this guy can be written as square root of 5 plus m to the 6 times 5 plus m, right? So it's going to be 5 plus m raised to the 6 divided by 2. It could be 3, right? Times square root of this guy right here, 5 plus m, right? This guy can be written as square root of 5 to the 7 plus square root of m to the 7, right? So it's going to be square root of 5 to the 6 times 5 plus square root of m to the 6 times m, right? Now, square root of 5 to the 6, bring it outside, it could be 5 cubed times square root of 5 plus m cubed times square root of m, right? And 5 cubed is 125 root 5 plus m cubed root m, right? Now question G can be written as square root of 15 minus y cubed, right? Now question H can be written as square root of 15 cubed minus square root of y cubed, right? So this guy can be written as square root of 15 square times 15 minus square root of y square times y, right? Square root of 15 square is going to be 15 square root of 15 minus y square root of y, right? Question I. We can combine these two guys, right? So 2 times 8 is going to be 16. S cubed times s is going to be s to the 4. Remember, a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n, right? Times y to the 5th times y is going to be y to the 6th, right? So we can bring 16 outside, it could be 4. S to the 4, bring it outside, it could be s squared. Y to the 6, bring outside, it could be y cubed, right? Similar to question I, we're gonna combine these two guys, right? So it's gonna be 15 times 10, it could be 150, right? S squared times s cubed, it could be s to the 5th. Y to the 7 times y to the 4 is going to be y to the 11, right? To simplify this one, you can separate this guy. 150 can be written as 25 times 6. S to the 5th can be written as s to the 4 times s. Y to the 11 can be written as y to the 10 times y, right? Now, square root of 25 is 5. Square root of s to the 4 is going to be s squared. Square root of y to the 10 is going to be y to the 5th. And you have 6 inside, s inside, and y inside here. This one is the final answer. Now question L, we're going to combine these two guys. So it's going to be cube root of 3 times negative 9, negative 27. S to the 4 times s is going to be s to the 5th. Y squared times y to the 5th is going to be y to the 7, right? So this guy can be separate. It's going to be cube root of negative 27 times s cubed times s squared, right? And y to the 7 can be written as y to the 6 times y, right? Now you're going to take cube root of negative 27, it's going to be negative 3. Cube root of s cubed is going to be s, right? Cube root of y to the 6 is going to be y squared, right? And you have s squared inside and y right here, right? And the last one, we can combine these two guys, right? Cube root, because this guy have a cube root, this guy have the same cube root, right? 25 times 10 could be 250 times m to the negative 4 times m to the 9 m to the 5th, n to the 7 times n, it could be n to the 8, right? And v to the 10, right? Now 250 can be written as 125 times 2, right? M to the 5th can be written as m cubed times m squared. N to the 8 can be written as n to the 6 times n squared. V to the 10 can be written as v to the 9 times v, right? Cube root of 125 is 5, right? Cube root of m cubed is going to be m. Cube root of n to the 6 is going to be n squared, right? Cube root of v to the 9 is going to be v cubed. And we have cube root of 2 m squared, n squared, and v, right? This one is the final answer. And it's your time to stop. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember that if you failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine.